Okay, here we go.
There it goes.
Okay, everybody, today Johnny gonna teach the Bible. The thing is, we're gonna let him finish it and we hold on our questions. Except when Johnny call, oh, you have any idea, and he will let you share the idea. Okay, let's pray.
My wife is so cute. She's okay.
Okay,
So,
let's
here
pray.
we go.
Alright, you wanna pray with us?
Join us here,
Come
quick.
here.
Okay. Now, Heavenly Father, we thank you for our family, our friends, and this special time together, that we may rejoice in your word, and we ask that your wisdom be upon us in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Okay.
So I was just reading something so exciting. I just wanted to share this with you. So in light of some of the things that we were talking about yesterday, where Mom was talking about, that, some men are liars, right? And so if men lie, how can we trust things that men produced, right? Because they may be lies, it may be false.
Especially, can I add, especially since we're told by this book, these are God's chosen people.
Right.
And then I see that they're so connected with diabolical creatures that I cannot tell you the revulsion I feel for what they're doing. I can't even put it in words, okay? So how does this make sense to me?
Right. So the same debate, the same things that you're thinking about were also taking place when Jesus was alive, and the people around him, even those seeing the miracles and so on, they didn't know what to make of it, right? And there are things here, and so this is from the Gospel of John, and it says, the Jews who heard these words were again divided. Many of them said, he is demon possessed and raving mad. Why listen to him? But others said, these are not the sayings of a man possessed by a demon. Can a demon open the eyes of the blind? Right? Well, why would a demon do that? So, and then says further conflict over Jesus's claims. So this is the festival of dedication at Jerusalem. It was winter and Jesus was in the temple courts walking in Solomon's colonnade. The Jews who were there gathered around him, saying, how long will you keep us in suspense? If you are the Messiah, tell us plainly. And here's how Jesus answered. I did tell you, but you do not believe. The works I do in my Father's name testify about me, but you do not believe because you are not my sheep. My sheep listen to my voice. I know them and they follow me. I give them eternal life and they shall never perish. No one will snatch them out of my hand. My Father who has given them to me is greater than all. No one can snatch them out of my Father's hand. I and the Father are one. Okay, so this is the sentence he said. And again, his Jewish opponents picked up stones to stone him. And so what is it that he said that enraged them? I and the Father are one. So they picked up stones and they're going to stone him. But Jesus said to them, I have shown you many good works from the Father. For which of these do you stone me? We are not stoning you for any good work, they replied, but for blasphemy, because you, a mere man, claim to be God. And now here's something that was quite powerful I wanted to share. Jesus answered them, is it not written in your law, and he's referring to the Old Testament, I have said you are gods. If he called them gods, to whom the word of God came, and scripture cannot be set aside, what about the one who the Father set apart as his very own and sent into the world? Why then do you accuse me of blasphemy because I said, I am God's son? Do not believe me unless I do the works of my Father. But if I do them, even though you do not believe me, believe the works, that you may know and understand that the Father is in me, and I in the Father.
But that would refer to all of God's creation.
Yes. In the Old Testament, it says, if he called them gods,
If he called them, meaning
God called men, like men, gods, made in God's image.
Mhm. Well, that's a
And
lot.
he's saying
a
to
lot
the,
of stuff
he's saying
there
to the
to question.
non-believing Jews around him that are trying to understand, they're seeing these miracles and they're trying to see if he is the Messiah prophesied from the Old Testament.
What are the qualities that they have in the Old Testament of what the Messiah would have as proof that he is the Messiah?
Everything that describes Jesus.
But the
If
Jews,
you read the Old Testament, it looks like when you read it, you immediately recognize that it's talking about Jesus. I mean, it's plain.
so then Jesus prays for all of those sinners.
Certainly.
Well,
So,
there's a
but-
lot to
What,
digest there and think about.
right. Yeah.
A lot.
But again, it comes down to that, I am the way and the truth and the life, and no one goes to the Father except through me, right?
Why?
It makes it very black and white,
Uh-huh.
very clear.
But why would God just have that one channel?
If you were God, how would you do it?
Well, well, I already said how I know that to me God is not omniscient, omnipresent, and totally
But wouldn't you make it simple? Because people are stiff-necked and apparently not real bright, right? Wouldn't you make it simple? You have to come in a form.
Well, are they defective genes that were put in by God that make them so stupid?
What makes you think that God put defective genes in?
I am just saying, is that the thing? Because we have them all around us, all these devils. They're just complete crackpots. When you were reading a certain thing, I didn't want to interrupt you. I was going to say, listen to what Larry Howard's son said to him. He's totally brainwashed. Totally and completely. And these people are totally brainwashed. So what has happened to God's power? What has happened to God's power? It's diminished
Diminished from what?
by diabolical goons that are everywhere.
What makes you think that evil diminishes God's power?
Just look around you. When I was listening to those people that have taken the vaccine, it broke my heart.
But I mean, you're looking at people who are making choices,
Yeah,
right? That
right.
you believe are evil choices. That
Right.
they're
How come
influenced.
that was coded? It was coded into us to be on this wavelength that we could easily slip over here. When God is making something, I will look around me, everything is such perfection and beauty and indescribable.
Except for when you include people.
Well, I am including them, but I'm saying there's something defective that has gone wrong with God's creation. Otherwise, you wouldn't have all these devils around
And
us.
it's a
Good God.
three-letter word. Who knows what it is?
Three-letter word.
Three-letter word.
Three-letter
Very,
word.
three-letter word.
You
It's
mean-
a three-letter word.
About this creation,
No, about all this
Free
all
will?
this trouble you're talking about.
free will. That's why God wanted us to have this defective gene, to make it so powerful that it could overcome all these.
No, it's from sin.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're right.
Okay, all right, let's examine that. Why
All right.
would God give that weakness? Genetically, what we don't have it, he doesn't have it. He doesn't. We don't drink, we don't smoke, we don't take drugs, we don't do anything.
But we have sugar, we have dessert after dinner, after lunch and breakfast.
But let me ask you a question. Without the challenge, right? So if a man is to build character, without a challenge, right? He can have no character.
Okay, then it's like an animal that has, in order to survive, has to have certain genetic and information that gives him better sight. He can see or hear or sense these evil creatures that want to devour him, right?
Mhm.
Well, this is what we have now. These are evil creatures that were around
It
us.
has
They're
cinnamon.
unbelievable. I mean, they are with what they said to his son, how they taught him. I go back to that because it was so clever and it was so complete that his own father, who was the epitome of the best father, a man of conscience and morals and principles, and I know Larry Howard's character, and his son is just going to throw that out the window and say, "Oh, wait a minute, these devils here are saying in my ear," and he can tell you the things they said.
But
Why
that,
would it be so powerful?
but
Why?
this is an interesting analogy, right? You know, Larry as the father,
Yes,
right, and his
yes.
son who's fallen away
Yes.
from good things, but will likely come back, right? And it will be a wonderful
Well, when he's
party.
at death's door from taking you know what.
Well,
But then it's too late.
But I don't. Just example like that you just said it. Example of Larry Howard. I think even us,
Yeah. Oh, even us. Oh, yes.
You know
Yes.
what I mean?
Absolutely.
everyone in this world are broken. Nobody perfect.
Okay, but
and the prodigal son, though, when he comes back, though, perhaps he'll be a man of more character and wisdom and so on. That you,
I agree with
sometimes
you.
they have to go down that road.
But it's too late
Is
when it
it?
comes to
it's
the
not.
vaccines.
But
Well,
but you
that's
see,
my
there's
opinion.
you know when you abandon hope. Remember what Dante Alighieri says: the big sign over the gate of hell. He who goes here must abandon all hope. But that's hell. That's not here.
Larry, did I make that clear? I mean, to me, it's shocking that your son was so brainwashed by the school, by his girlfriend, and by
But
her
here's my
friends and
question,
family.
Larry: have you abandoned all hope?
No.
No.
But Larry is very different. Larry,
Right. But do you understand that Larry will pray for his son, and that
absolutely.
and the supernatural component will bring him back?
When it's too late.
What is too late?
Because he's going to get sick from this. It's absolutely incontrovertible proof. I watched that show so carefully. They showed what happens to the cell, how that virus gets in there, and it cuts it, you know. I'm using the word cut, but it infects it so it becomes weak, and the membrane that's surrounding it crumbles, and the cell can't function anymore. It starts crumbling right before my eyes. I'm watching it. This poor woman and all these other people who giving testimony, I got the shot. I was so stupid and foolish to believe, because those devils are so clever, and the way his son spoke to him showed me how clever they are in using words. That you're going to you're going to pay them to kill you. See?
You know what they say: the devil mixes the truth and lies.
Exactly. Well, exactly. So I'm saying,
Keep people disoriented. But here's the reason I was sharing this particular verse with you was that these are people who were right there watching these miraculous things happen, and were able to interact directly with Jesus, and they too were having these conflicts, right? On the one hand, seeing these things, and then on the other, you know, having this disbelief. How could a man, you know, these things are so fantastic. How could it possibly be true? Even though I'm seeing these miracles, the statement that he's the Son of God and he was sent here to do that, especially the people that knew him from the town where he was born, they're saying, you know, hey, aren't you the carpenter's son over here? You know how, you know, this. Even his own brothers were not convinced.
and little Angie Foster, who's just sitting here absorbing and believing totally in God's creation like you could never imagine, would say, wait a minute, God is omnipotent. What is this defect that's in the people? What is this defect?
So I want you to give you an example of two people, right? One person who is a Christian who uses this as a guidebook, right? And that they believe that they go to heaven through their faith in Jesus Christ, and they will go into the world and share that good news with others to bring them to bring them to heaven. And then someone else who says, well, I believe in God, but I don't know about all this. Would you say that how can they build a foundation? Would they not be in the dark? They would be they're trying to build a staircase on, well, I'm just going to be a good person and I will do good things.
I would
and
say-
I will, as a human, build a way to get to heaven without Jesus, because I don't believe that.
I say there's so much confusion because words are very powerful and should be used very, very carefully because they're misconstrued. If you tell one people, teaching them the right way, or 10 people, and then 500 of them are just so baffled by it and are confused. There's no one there to help the 500 that are. It's a total mystery. And I'm just saying that the diabolical creatures that are everywhere see this defect.
Let me ask you
They
this.
see the defect that the people
If
have.
you were at the pool when Jesus was there and you saw the crippled man, who couldn't make his way down to the pool, but you were there firsthand, and you saw him ask the man if he wanted to be healed, and you saw this miracle, right?
Yes,
Would that change? Would it change? If you
about
saw
what I
something
feel that God is omnipotent.
No, that you would feel that Jesus was God's son,
But
and that he was here to.
well, I even know that Jesus said that they're all the sons of God, all these men.
Would that change your? Would that change if you saw something like that with your own eyes?
I would
What
I would say yes that
then you would say this is true. You
mean
would
that-
say that Jesus, this is God's son. The only way that something like this, let's say you were there and you watched Lazarus being raised from the dead. In fact, they have quite a picture here. I would love to get this picture for our house. You have to see it.
okay. Could I just
Look at this picture, right? They have all the people here behind Jesus, right? And you see the tomb is in front, and he's calling Lazarus out of the tomb. Wouldn't you love to have that as a picture in the house?
Yeah.
I love this, but
I'd
this
love
is
to take that picture.
this is a catacomb fresco
Uh-huh.
depicting the rising of
What
Lazarus.
a wonderful artist.
Yeah. But
What
I'm
a
just asking
wonderful
you,
artist.
if you were one of the people in that picture right behind Jesus, right, and you witnessed this, would that make any
But
difference?
this little Angie Foster read about it. They had it on TV. She was put in the hospital in the morgue in the refrigeration unit and came back to life 2 days later.
Okay, so what you're saying is
It's there.
that this is not necessarily
I'm not saying
true.
that that's not true. I'm saying, wait a minute. How is this possible?
Okay, but
that-
wait. This is a good point. So what you're saying is that were you there in this moment to witness this, that you would not believe that Jesus was God's son,
I would
because
believe.
there could still be other explanations as to how the dead man.
I believe that God gives us such incredible powers like that woman had that power to come back to life.
But I'm asking kind of yes or no questions because I want to understand, and you're not answering.
Okay, would I personally?
Right, if you were at the pool with the crippled man and you witnessed Jesus return him to hell.
So what you're saying is then I would not question.
No, I'm asking you. I am saying,
I am
my
saying
gosh,
that's-
if I was there,
Oh
why?
yes, I would say
'Cause
it's a
I
miracle.
already believe
Yes.
that I didn't see those
I would say
miracles.
it's a miracle. Yes.
You would say it's a miracle, but would you then believe that Jesus was God's son, and the only way to get to heaven would be to believe in him and to have faith?
Well, yes, because I think. What is this here? No, I don't know. Because how can I put this the way I see it?
Just a yes or no question.
I would say that yeah, I think that this would be a miracle. Yes, I do.
So then you would be a believer.
Sure, of course. But I would still question, why is this defect in so many people that they are so attracted to the devil? Did God give us this repulsive gene or whatever you want to call it?
Well, here,
To
let's
prove
do
that-
this. Why don't we ask Larry and Jeed Ask Larry that question.
Okay,
If there is an all-loving, omnipotent God,
that has all the power.
why would He allow evil in the world?
Well, that's what's puzzling and baffling.
Mom says that a loving God would not do that. Therefore, this is
I'm not
true.
saying that. I'm saying that God gave me the ability to at least look at this and say, what is it we don't understand?
That's right, because then once
all
you
I'm
overcome it, you would have real faith because you had tested it.
Well, I'm just telling you how I think God gave me the ability to use logic and reasoning, because I think that's what brings us to a higher level of understanding and appreciate God's powers. And
Right, but this is coming back to this important question: is there absolute truth in the world or not? Yes or no?
I
Is there
would
truth in the
say
world?
yes, there's truth. Yes.
Okay, and
Yes.
so is this the truth or not? That's what we're talking about. That's what the discussion is about. So I wanted you to ask Larry and just see
Well,
what.
since I'm not
Larry thinks, and
brainwashed,
ask G.
and God gives us this ability to think very clearly and look at the big, big picture, that to me is a sign of that your brain is working really good. Look at the big picture. Don't look at this little here, this example, because there are many examples. How about the Indians that they put up on a fire and wrap them in animal skins? They'd come back to life. Not all of them, some of them.
Okay.
Larry?
What's the question?
Why would a
Omnipotent God
omnipotent,
create
loving
this
God
defective gene.
create a man in His image and then throw in evil and create all this trouble in the world?
My answer is absolutely, I don't know. And that's
She tried to get off.
perplexing to me all my life. I sat down with a bunch of
Take
Jewish
Roxy.
concentration camp people about 15 years ago. A
exciting.
good friend of mine, Aaron Price, brought me to them, and we sat down
Let
together.
them nomก่อน
And
What did you do, Josh? Alex, what made her?
She fell off.
Oh, she fell off. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Again, I could
Go
not
ahead,
hear
Larry,
it.
I'm sorry.
Again.
That interrupted.
I remember Aaron Price. He's the guy that actually was on the board or committee that discovered smoking causes cancer back in the late 60s or whatever that. A real famous guy, pharmacologist, emeritus or whatever. And I was working with him, and he brought me into a committee of people that were in the Holocaust. And I sat there, and it was me, and it was all them. And I, I have a Jewish heritage, so I was allowed in because of that, and I was sitting there with maybe 15, 20 people, all of them, in their 80s at the time, and I heard some of the stories. And then when we walked out of the meeting, I go, so do you believe in God? He's Seymour, and he goes, I cannot believe in God. Well, you attend Jewish synagogue, and you look like you seem like a holy roller in the Jewish church. And he said, I just can't, because I look at the Holocaust and what it did to my people, the Jews. I can't imagine why God would let this happen. I've never today that happened almost 20 years. I never forgot that. And my answer to
Very
you
good point.
is I don't know. But I will say this: Jesus said that God's logic is foolish before men, or it said that somewhere in there, and our logic is foolish before God. And I'd say I don't like what happened to the Jews.
Right.
I went to Dachau, and I toured Dachau in Munich a few times outside Munich, and I'm just, because I have this Jewish heritage. I go, wow, I have relatives that got killed in these places. I don't know. I don't have the answer. I'm sorry. I do not have your answer.
Well, the only answer I could come up with, maybe God has created us this way, because, let's go to the animals. For survival, they have an animal that's pursuing them, this one, and they have to get stronger and more intelligent to figure out how not to be eaten alive. Okay? So, I'm saying, could that be the reason that this gene is not, he wants this gene to become stronger. I don't know, I'm just speculating, that's all I can do.
The biggest thing, if I can say this, the Holocaust bothers me to this day. But I've actually shed tears over, believe it or not, I've shed tears over this. That they take this guy that says love one another, and they take it and they brutalize
I
him
agree.
in front of the world with a crown of thorns.
1000%.
All he said was love one another and love God.
Right.
And why did they do that to him?
Because he said the only way to the Father is through me.
Right, but why?
That's why.
Oh, because they were
Jew.
Jews, and
He was going against their establishment.
which was
Right.
satanic.
Right.
He said that they're satanic.
They wanted the people to
Be
believe
God.
the way to God was through them. And he was
Because then they would become omnipotent like God.
he was upending their.
Did you hear that what I said? Then they want to become omnipotent like God. They're competing with God.
They hated Jesus. Yeah.
They're in competition with them.
So do you believe that what you're saying is that until I get this answer of why God is doing this, I'm going to be perplexed.
Well, I'm going to say I wonder why God has given me this ability to question it. Maybe there's something there that we should look at that could help mankind. I don't know.
Would you think you would get an answer to that? You think you would have knowledge to know why God did that? Because I don't think there's a human being alive that knows that. Is
I
that
think
right?
I would.
Ever.
I think I would only know it through feeling.
I don't. I've spent my life in church. I don't know the reason why God allowed such devastation. Even in Noah's day, and even in Sodom and Gomorrah, people were terrible
Right,
on each other.
Right.
Why are they doing that? I don't know.
Is God doing this to get the refinement of people that really have those qualities? In other words, as you go through nature and you evolve, is God giving us these obstacles so we become more powerful ourselves, more discerning, and our intellect grows? I don't know. I'm just again speculating. I don't know.
You know, in the Count of Monte Cristo, there's an interesting exchange where he's innocent and he's put into prison and
Yes.
he's there for a long time,
Yes.
and he has a cellmate who is a priest, and the priest is sharing with him the gospel, but he's so angry about what's happened to him that he's choosing not to believe in God, and the priest tells him to let this go, this anger go, and to believe in God. And he says, but I don't believe in God. But he said, but God believes in you see. And then later on, after he's out of prison, he's telling a young man who's at a birthday party, he's giving a toast to a young man, and he says, life is a storm. He says, one day you're basking in the sun, and the next day you're crashed upon the rocks. And he tells him, what makes a man is what you do when that storm comes. And I think that what he was indicating there is that this evil in the world is a test, and it's an opportunity for a man to have character. And
I agree with everything you just said, but it's very few that can survive this type of punishment in this culture, in this society, with all this insanity. My God, I grew up in a mental institution. Look at me. It's a wondrous thing that I can even be here, as Jean said, creating you and her and Alex way over there. Okay? It's wondrous. It's a beyond miraculous. I don't even know the word. How did I not succumb to all this insanity? Because I'm asking, could it be that God is looking to refine the intelligence to a very high level to see if, in fact, we can achieve that awareness, that brilliance, that's imprinted? Some of it is imprinted in us. And that's all I'm thinking. That's what I think. Could that be the reason?
Why is there evil in the world?
Why is the evil in the world?
Right.
In my perspective, is we are not a robot.
Well, I agree.
We are
I
not
agree.
a robot, and God give us the free will and all things that you said. Why bad thing? Why God give people and go through all bad thing? Why He allowed it? To me, that is the thing that is about the faith too. If you don't have faith in Him, you cannot, you know, you cannot find Him. That to me, like, God give us free will. We are not a robot, and we have our own desire to shoot. That
So what Jeet is thinking is that God has designed us to, some of us, or I guess to see which ones have the capability to not become robots, but to think on a very high level.
We are not a robot because we have our own desire. If God program us, everybody will be the same. Everybody will be so good, and we will not will send anything. We don't have the sense to know good and evil, And when God show you, when God what do you say, when bad thing happen to people, it's because you open that window. It's maybe it's not you. It's ancestor. It's your parents. That is not in this. To me, that we are we are here. We are here. That God give us the free will, and we can to have our own desire to decide it.
But most people do not have that free will. They
They
go
all
along
have
like
free
a bunch
will.
of sheep.
Every people in this world have their own will to shoot what they want, what they want. That
I say if
believe-
you get children and brainwash them from the time they're very young, these robots, or whatever you want to call them, human beings, are defective to the very core. So it goes against God's creation. It goes totally against God's creation, which is to have the ability to love. I guess, am I right or wrong? Do we have that ability at a very deep level?
To love?
Yeah.
Certainly.
Okay, so it's all covered up and twisted and destroyed by society.
What is society? Is it sinfulness? Man's sinfulness?
Absolutely.
Ah.
It's all around us.
Well, that's what this is talking about. This is the answer to that.
But it seems to me it doesn't work very well. All I'm saying, millions and millions of people are still going to turn to sin.
So therefore,
Something is defective about
it's not true.
I didn't say it was. I would say it's absolutely true.
Well,
that
if
could
this
have
is
happened.
absolutely true,
Yes.
you say the Bible's absolutely true.
Well, I question some of the things because it's so puzzling to me that people have been through such horrible. Okay, I look at animals, how they evolve. Okay, they learn, and then their genes change. I'm predicating my ability to reason on that simple thing that they're God's creation, and I'm looking how God has created them. Oh, well, you have to have more intelligence to survive. You have to have better sense of taste or smell or hearing or whatever. But through time, the animals become more evolved so they can survive. Okay? Especially the females of the entire animal kingdom have to have those genes to ensure the survival of the young. So God teaches me by just having me look around, and then of course the scientists have actually counted the genes, and they say yes, women have to have more of these, and these to ensure survival of the young. If they don't, the children will not survive, and that's true of the entire animal kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm taking that concept, that basic concept, and applying it to God's creation of man, and I'm saying, is God giving us such incredible challenges because ultimately we're going to evolve to such a high level that we can appreciate God and understand better of of everything that he has created and makes the answer to this question, like Larry said, we can't find an answer. Why does God have so much bad mixed in with all this good?
But does he have the bad mixed in, or did man mix the bad in?
I don't think man is that powerful. No, I think God is omnipotent.
You know, in the Garden of Eden,
Omnipotent.
God says, "Do not eat from the tree of knowledge." And
Mhm.
the serpent said, "If you do, you will don't listen to God, because if you do, you will know good and evil."
Mhm.
And you'll be like God.
Very good.
You will be
point.
like God. You will know the two forces.
Mhm.
And before the two forces happen, which is a place that you would like, is
Uh-huh.
heaven,
Uh-huh,
and they weren't aware of evil.
right,
in heaven.
right.
They were hanging out, and it was beautiful.
They weren't aware of evil.
But when they were talked into eating this tree, whatever this thing was, they knew and embraced evil. They did something that was evil, that God didn't like.
Mhm.
And so that was, in my mind, and if I can share this in my mind, it says, this is the tree of knowledge. The tree of life to me is the tree of love. The tree of knowledge, if you go down a path of seeking knowledge yourself, I want to know through my, synapses in my brain, why. You will know evil for some reason.
Mhm.
And I think that path down knowledge is dangerous, and Jesus, or God was saying that, and the path down love has no danger at all to it, in my mind. And that's just me.
Okay, now everyone here has listened to my perspective.
I want to hear Alex's perspective.
Now
too.
I'm waiting to
Yeah.
hear Alex's perspective.
On
Let it.
If there was a loving God, why would he allow or create evil in the world?
Do you
I
understand?
always said it's for balance, because you can't have good without bad.
Because
That's
then we
it.
would not know good.
Yeah.
Good point.
It was a great point.
He always answer is very good answer.
I'm taking it to
Very
another
powerful.
level.
Yeah, he's so
Why must there be all this
Short.
misery?
so sharp.
These are so
You
bad
are
that
right.
humans that Larry and I
I told you my
discussions,
son
we
was
took.
Yeah.
anointed.
I
didn't
tell
I?
you,
Stand to
God
look
has.
at them. This is
That's
your
why I know
creation.
he's the
You
true
can't
son,
stand
one
to
daddy.
look at.
Yeah.
My God Almighty.
Do you need to know this answer?
Well, I think for me to understand God to the level that I think He wants us to go to, yes.
Is there somebody in the world that knew that answer, or that knows that answer? Or is there any book written? Is that answer out there for the human race yet?
What are you doing?
Well, I wouldn't know because I'm not.
Why is
I don't know either. I
What
mean,
are
I've been
Alex Fox?
studying
You
this.
see?
Is there
You
somebody
notice?
to
We
say,
can
well,
only
this
not
is
have the
speculate.
fox.
this is the
Okay.
reason why God has created? I don't have that answer.
Give it to
Okay,
Alex.
and my
Give it to
answer to
Alex.
that is, I'm just speculating.
Yeah.
Does
Give
God
it
want
to
us to go through, like he said, the example of hitting, being out in the ocean and we're gonna hit those rocks, okay? Does God do this to make us evolve to a higher level of intelligence? But that would only be a small percentage of people. Why have all this misery surrounding us and the devils that you and I have talked about? We can't even look at what they're doing. It's so disgusting. When I was listening to that show about the human suffering these are the people who took the vaccine and are suffering so horribly. They're telling. This is what's happening to me. I get up in the morning, my eyesight is blurred, I'm banging into the walls, my legs don't work anymore, my